Morning, all. Brad with Pro Painter here. Today I've got five mistakes that do-it-yourself painters do, and how to avoid them. How to avoid them best as possible. And the first one is they skip the prep. Many times they'll just skip the prep. They won't patch your nail holes and caulk their cracks and clean walls and things like that if needed, like around your stove, your greasy stove and on the walls, you got to kind of clean that stuff. Otherwise, paint's not going to stick to grease and dirt and filth. Got to do some minimal light cleaning depending on the condition of your surfaces that you're painting. Uh, Next one is they use junk tools. They just do. They just use cheap junk tools. That really makes for a miserable process and job. You got to get good gear. I've stressed that before in my past videos. If you've seen them before, if you have, I appreciate that. I have a tools series. There's in my do-it-yourself painting guide, you can get that. There's a tools list in there that gets all the good gear, and it's worth it. If you're gonna go through the trouble of doing the painting on your own, it's worth having good tools. At least you'll get a much better result in the end. That's important. It really is. The next thing they do is they'll just skip the masking, and then they got paint all over their woodwork, and if they don't mask their baseboards and excuse me, not just not just the walls or woodwork and that kind of thing, but maybe even on their finished flooring and furniture and light fixtures, that kind of thing. You gotta mask and cover up the areas that where you don't want paint. So, if you're painting your ceiling, you got to cover your light fixtures, your fan, that kind of thing. Your ceiling fan, like you can see the one above my head here, spinning. But the next one, number 4, is they don't use enough material ever. That's my biggest complaint, is that do-it-yourselfers just don't put on enough material. They'll roll and keep rolling and dry brushing, and you gotta dip and use material in a system. Within a system, you dip and roll a section, roll it out, dip and roll. They just don't use enough material, and their job looks streaky and bad, and they get sick of it at the end, and they rush through it. Um, and they'll rush through, and then the number 5 is they'll skip or just rush through the cutting in process. Many times you'll see a project happening underway or something, and I'll walk in on, and they started out cutting in and brushing their walls, but then by the last ones they'll just kind of like roll it and not avoid brushing, and then and when it comes to it, they'll, I don't know, sometimes they'll just get some cheap masking tape and put some tape on and ram the roller up to it, kind of thing. So these are things that make that's why people say, like, oh God, I hate painting because it's a mess. Well, if you go through the process right, it can be a good result, and you can get good results. And I want to encourage you to follow me for how to avoid these bad things and difficulties with do-it-yourselfers. These are just things that I see all the time, and otherwise, follow me and for more tips and how to avoid these mistakes, that kind of thing. And but otherwise, you guys have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, keep her tight.